Good morning, y'all, y buenos dias. So for today's video, I have my breastfeeding journey. So this video has been highly requested and I didn't want to do it up until Luna wasn't nursing anymore because I wanted to really talk about everything. So this is going to be a two-part video series, I guess. The first part will just be an overview of the entire journey from the very beginning until she stopped, and then the next video will be a breakdown of how she weaned. So if you guys are interested, then keep on watching. Okay, so I'm gonna preface this. Luna is running around in the house with Jessie, so if you guys hear noises, that's what it is. And also, this video is just my journey. This is my story. This is how it happened to me. This is just what I went through. So a lot in the breastfeeding community, we lack a lot of support within, and women will feel shamed for doing either nursing or formula feeding. And so this is a video that I want to just really put out there that we need to stop shaming mothers for doing either. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's just disgusting that we're even at the level to be talking crap about other moms. Like, we just need to not be doing that anymore because it's awful. It's horrible for us, like for ourselves, to be talking crap like that about other moms. So this is not a video for that. This is a video of just me sharing what happened with me and how it all went down. Okay, so backstory, my entire family breastfed. So we're a super traditional Salvadorian family, and so everyone in the family nursed. All of my aunts nursed and all of my great aunts and both my grandmas and stuff like that. So for me, culturally, it was the norm. I know that a lot of people, it's the opposite. And so to have that sort of backlash from family and friends because you're the first person to be nursing is something that I can't even fathom, just because of the fact that it was so normal, so just literally the norm. And so for me, I feel like that was such a healthy foundation for me. Even before I got pregnant with Luna, I already knew that that was what my path, if I was able to, that's what I was gonna do. And so I hear from a lot of moms out there who, you know, they're the first person in the family to start nursing. And so it's really difficult, not only maybe to not have the resources, but not have the support that you really need, which is unbelievably critical, especially in the beginning times. So once I got pregnant with Luna and, you know, started getting ready and started, you know, this whole process of mentally preparing, I had a lot of people to talk to just because they had all nursed. And so my mom and my best friend Lindsay were the two people that I talked to the most, just prepping myself not only for breastfeeding but for motherhood in general. And I am infinitely appreciative of them and all of their wisdom that they were able to share with me, just because I don't know, you know, where I'd be without their knowledge, because there's only so much you can read, there's only so much that you can pick up from a book, and then there's life experience that you're getting from someone else, which is why, another reason why I really wanted to make this video, because it's like a different ball game to hear it from someone who's been through all the highs and the lows. So right around at the end of my pregnancy, my boobs got massive. I have always had like no boobs at all, like my entire life. And so at the very end of my pregnancy, my boobs are massive, and then right after Luna was born, they were like even more massive. So I've always been like a super small A, and then I was at a D. So I was like, what is this? It was super weird, just like physically really weird on me, because I'd never seen my boobs like that. And so that was like a really weird thing. I had no idea that they would change that drastically. Like, I knew they would change and I knew they'd get bigger, but it was just like, it almost felt like it was day and night, like how quickly it happened. Luna was born in the birthing center in Baton Rouge, which was an incredible environment to have a little one. I mean, it was so calming, and my midwife was amazing, and, you know, I had my mom there, and Zach was there, my best friend Lindsay was there. And so having that super relaxed, really awesome environment, I think was also an incredible boost for the beginning parts of my breastfeeding journey. So as soon as Luna was born, I held her right onto my chest, and probably, you know, maybe like a minute or so after the reaction of her, you know, physically being on this side of the world, was she latched on. And that was super lucky. That does not happen with everyone. That's just like nipple shape, the mouth of the baby, the tongue of the baby has a lot to do with it. And so it's so many different variables, and you know, we lucked out in the fact that she just latched on immediately. And so a lot of research shows that when babies are able to latch on, the sooner the better is pretty much how the rule goes, just so that they're able to really use all those muscles in the most efficient way, because it's kind of hard for them at first. I've seen tons of videos of babies like just not being able to really get it. And so we were really lucky that as soon as she got on, she just started nursing, which kind of sort of foreshadowed the rest of my journey, because I mean, as soon as she was so tiny and so little, and she just latched on like it was nothing. And she drank for probably more than 30 minutes, that first initial nurse. And I did, you know, however long on one side and however long on the other side. And so she just stayed on my chest for like an hour in total, just staying there, and really got that connection going, which I think is something so, so critical, especially in those first moments. If at all possible, to have that connection with your little one, because there's so much going on, like not only spiritually, you know, you guys are connecting, but also on a biological level. There's so many hormones that are going through both of y'all that is really emphasizing that mother-baby connection, which there's really nothing like it. There's really no way of explaining it, and there's no way of comparing it to anything, just because of how powerful and how instinctual it is, because that's what it is. It really is just instinct of you instantly falling in love with this baby, because taking care of a newborn is not the easiest feat at all. And so you are biologically given a bunch of love hormones that make you want to do it, because otherwise you're a lot less likely to want to do it. So that's why it's really important to try to get those beautiful moments in the beginning of just you and your baby just holding and skin to skin and all of that jazz, because it really, really makes a huge difference. So the beginning 3 days were not a joke, y'all. I know that there's tons of people that are out there that say like, oh, if nursing is done correctly, it doesn't hurt. I don't believe that at all. I mean, the beginning first 3 days were pretty much torture. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. They were extremely, extremely painful. And like, I've heard this from pretty much every nursing mom ever, that they'll go through that initial phase of just like sheer pain. And the one thing that I try to tell everyone is that there's like, it's like a hump. Like once you get over that hump, it's like easier, not easy, but easier. And so those first 3 days, you know, it's just my boob and my nipple getting used to that motion for, you know, hours at a time, all day long. Luna nursed like there was no tomorrow, like all day, every day, pretty much the entire time that she nursed. And so, you know, she was nursing sometimes every 20 minutes, like she would latch on, she would nurse, and then wanted to latch on again. And so for me personally, I didn't have her on a schedule or anything like that. I just nursed her on command. So whenever I felt as though she needed to nurse, that's when I would nurse her. And also, being that I was able to develop this relationship with her, I was able to see her cues before she started crying. And so that was something really magical to me, because it's almost like I knew what she needed before she had to tell me. And this is super natural. I mean, a lot of women develop this with their babies, and it's all about like really just observing them and paying attention to their cues. And so Luna as a newborn basically never cried, like ever. And it was so amazing. I mean, those newborn days were just like so surreal and like just magical to me because she really never cried. She really never was fussy or anything like that, which I'm super lucky because she was a very healthy baby. But also the fact that I was able to pick up on those cues. You know, she would make little faces or start squirming when I knew that she was hungry, and so I would just nurse her before she got to the point of her crying or anything like that. But anyways, so she would nurse all the time, and it really took a toll on my nipples because they hurt so bad. Like I said, it was those first 3 days, and it got to the point where I would like tense up when I'd see her face of her starting to get hungry because I knew that I would have to nurse her and it would suck because it would hurt. And so those first 3 days, I just like literally just talked with my mom because my mom was able to stay with me at home, which was also another really critical part of how well that newborn stage went for me, is because I had so much help, and I had my mom, who not only is a mom but is someone who is so motherly in her nature, like on a whole nother topic. And so just to have her there, you know, ayudándome like in everything, was just super awesome. But I was also just able to talk to her about like, this hurts, is this normal? And she's like, yeah, you know, like whenever I nursed y'all 3, like that's how it hurts. She was like, but it's just a hump. Once you get over the hump, it'll feel so much better. And I think that having someone who, like I said, has been through it and has been through all the ups and downs, and she was able to reassure me that, you know, this is okay, like you got this, and once you get over that hump, it's gonna get so much better. And so that's exactly what happened. So after those first initial days of so much pain, it got like overnight changed. Like, I mean, like day and night. It was so awesome once it didn't hurt anymore. And my milk really started coming in. So the first couple of sometimes days for some women, it's just colostrum, which is like a really thick, yellowish liquid, which, I mean, it's coming from your boobs. I had a lot of questions about that. It's coming from your boobs, but it's not like your milk yet. But it's obviously like, that's like super critical for your baby, and it's like really healthy and all that. It's just that different women, their milk comes in at different rates. And so my milk came in the next day after she was born. And so yeah, after the first initial days of pain, it was super awesome, and I would nurse her all the time, and it was really great. And Luna was born in November, but November in Louisiana is like spring anywhere else. Like, it wasn't cold at all, so we'd be able to go on walks, and we'd go to the park and stuff like that when she was really little. And so this goes to the next phase, which is breastfeeding in public. Again, this was something that I already knew that you know, that's just how I am, and that was never going to be an issue for me, that I was going to nurse Luna on command when she wanted, wherever I was, regardless of where I was or who was around. And that's just my way of seeing it. There's a lot of women who nurse who prefer to cover their baby or prefer to be in another room, which is completely your decision. That is your decision, not for someone else to tell you, not for me to say like, oh, you should breastfeed wherever you want, or oh, you need to cover up your baby. Like, that is your personal decision. And for me, I found that the best way that I felt for me and my baby was to nurse wherever, without a cover, when she wanted to. And this is a huge topic of conversation because of the fact that people have not only over-sexualized, but also pretty much forgotten human biology and like what boobs are for. I mean, they're literally to breastfeed a baby. That's what they're for. Just to let y'all know, for those of y'all who didn't know. You know, like if you're in a house and someone has a dog who just had puppies, she is gonna breastfeed on command wherever she's at, no matter who's around. And that's just, I mean, every other mammal does it that way, and that's just how I felt was how I was gonna do it, how I was gonna handle the situation, because I wasn't gonna let my baby be hungry just because we were in a certain place and there were people around. That's just so not me. If you guys have been following me for around for a long time, y'all know like my demeanor, and I'm very straightforward, and I'm not gonna let anybody tell me like what I'm supposed to do just because of their cultural views on something. And I think that has a lot to do with decolonizing as well, just because I don't want to conform into these ideals of what is modest or what is acceptable with this not only unhuman-like tendency, but just this ridiculous concept of what a woman should or shouldn't do. And like I said, this is very, very personal and very up to how you see it. And that's the only thing that matters, is how comfortable you are and how you feel the situation is with your baby, because that's what it is. It's a connection between you and your baby, not anyone else. And this can be really difficult. I've had a lot of women speak to me on this topic of either their husbands not being comfortable with them breastfeeding in public, or their moms not being comfortable with them feeding in public. And like I said, I'm just a very strong-willed, very opinionated person that I just don't accept what anyone else is going to tell me of something that is completely and solely my idea. You get what I'm saying? So be very, very strong about whatever decision it is that you want to make, because it's no one else's decision but yours. And so for me, breastfeeding in public on command when she wants without covering is just how I've done it, and that's how I'm going to continue to do it. And so having that inner strength, having that inner pride in whatever decision it is that you are making will highly, highly benefit you handling the situations in the future, because inevitably there's going to be someone who's going to be looking at you in the mall or in the bookstore or wherever it is that you're at, and you just have to say, screw them. You have to say, I don't care what anyone else has to think. If I'm gonna nurse my baby right here on this bench, this is where I'm gonna do it. If I'm gonna be in this restaurant and I'm gonna nurse my baby, this is where I'm gonna do it, regardless of what anyone else has to say. This is a human baby who I am feeding human milk. This is how I'm gonna do it. And so it's my little rant as far as breastfeeding in public goes, because just the whole concept of shaming women for breastfeeding in public is just so outlandishly ridiculous that it really just doesn't even make any sense. So then fast forward a little bit, you know, we're doing great and she's nursing awesome and she's nursing quite often, and then she starts getting little teeth. And this is another huge hurdle for a lot of women. A lot of women see that as an ending point of once they start getting teeth, that's kind of a marker for them to just, you know, just not do that anymore. And it's completely understandable, because it's no joke. It's no joke at all. But again, I was able to speak with my mom and Lindsay, and they say, yeah, you know, they start biting for a while, but it's just another hump. And so I was like, okay, I got this. And I mean, because she's teething, and so it hurts, and so the biting down would relieve that. And it hurts so bad, and I'm not trying to be over dramatic or ridiculous or try to elaborate on this story, but like, she literally bit off a little chunk of my nipple, and I was just like, what is going on? I was like, oh my God, like, this cannot be real life. This is obviously like a movie script that this kind of stuff happens in. But no, 100% a little chunk of my nipple fell off because she bit it. And it was life-changing, and I was like, why would I keep going on with this when she just bit me like so hard? And it happened a couple of times where she bit me like super, super hard, to the point where I wanted to cry because it hurt so bad. And eventually she just stopped biting. And I think it's really is just like one of those phases that they go in through, and some kids don't go through it at all. So there's some kids who don't bite their moms at all, which is awesome, but that did not happen to me. She definitely bit me. And so once we got over that hurdle, it was smooth sailing once again. And she nursed very, very often throughout the entire time that she was nursing. So sometimes it was as unfrequent as every 4 hours, and then sometimes as frequent as every hour and a half. So I was really fortunate that I've been able to work from home, and that I've been able to do that because she was such a demanding little nurser. And so that had a huge I had a huge opportunity to be able to consecutively nurse her for that long. Hola mi amor. So once we made it to a year, I was really proud of myself. That was my first marker that I wanted to hit as far as time nursing. And that's something that is very flexible, should I say, because you never know if your milk just isn't going to come in anymore, or they'll just stop nursing. Like sometimes kids just stop nursing. I know many of my aunts that they were just, you know, nursing their kids and then they just didn't want to anymore, and that's totally normal as well. Both of those situations are nothing to be ashamed of. That's not something that you failed as a mom or anything like that, and you should never feel that way over that at all. Once I hit a year, I was really hyped. I was proud that I had made it that far because, like I said, it's a journey and it had a lot of ups and downs. And so making it to a year was something that I was really looking forward to, just to validate all the hard work I had put in. And, you know, fast forward, she's still nursing more, and it got to around 18 or 19 months that she was nursing so often that, like, I wasn't getting a break. At that point, you know, she was 19 months. She was eating food on a regular basis, like food. And I was like, how can she be eating these meals and also be nursing as much as she is? Because as far as I knew, and as far as everyone else was telling me, was the more they'll eat, the less they'll want to nurse, which makes sense, right? Because I mean, their stomachs are only so big. I don't understand how she was able to... Gracias. See. I didn't know how she was able to eat and nurse so much. And so I was almost getting concerned, just because I was like, you know, it's supposed to be getting less and less, not more and more. And it got to the point where she was nursing like every hour, but she was almost 2. And I was like, okay, we need to settle this down somehow. And so at that point, I would start distracting her. So once she would say leche, if you guys have seen my vlogs from when she was younger, you'll see her doing this all the time, and that's the sign for milk. And so, you know, say leche, and I would kind of distract her, or I'd fix her like some strawberries or some mangoes or something, just so that she wouldn't nurse. And gracias, mi amor. And so I would distract her like that, and that's initially how it started. Was she would just kind of forget. And so it was awesome. So instead of every hour, it went to every 4 hours, which is so much more realistic. And so once it got to that point, I was smooth sailing again. It was every 4 hours, sometimes every 5 hours. So it was really good, super smooth, but it almost switched because it got to the point where she was nursing all night. So all day she was chill and she would nurse like a couple times, but all night she would wake me up, I mean, every hour and a half to 2 hours, like she was a newborn. I'm pretty sure she drank less as a newborn than she did at the point when she was like around 20 months. And so that's when the weaning process started. And for that video, you'll need to catch it next time, because this video is already extremely long, and so I'll just make a whole video on just weaning, just so that you guys aren't sitting here for like 2 hours straight. So I'm so grateful that you guys made it this far in listening to my breastfeeding journey. If you guys want to listen to how I weaned Luna, just click on the next video. And if you guys have any comments or questions, please leave them down below. Tlazocamahti for watching, and I'll talk to y'all later.